various locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Hey, thanks for joining us. The racing season is upon us. My God, we're 1 week removed from the first event of the year last week at Bowman Gray, the Clash, and of course, 1 week from today is the actual kickoff to the season, the Daytona 500, which means today we'll just have to bide our time and pretend we're watching the Super Bowl. Okay, there's a lot of people that watch the Super Bowl, and it'll be fun, and it's usually a party, and you go to the grocery store and that's all they have is stuff for your Super Bowl party. Well, I'm calling and talking to you from lovely, sunny, warm Phoenix, Arizona, where we've had several high temperature records this week that I don't want to bring up anymore. And my three partners who've been back with y'all enjoying that beautiful Wisconsin weather, starting with Oostburg, Wisconsin's Brian Schmidt. Hi, Brian.
Morning. Yeah, it's not real beautiful, but it is what it is. Get through it. We have to get warm by looking through the TV or your computer screen or your device all week, because Speed Week's full swing right now.
It certainly is. PJ in Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Hi.
Hi there. We have sunshine, but it's only 11 degrees here.
Oh, by the way, you weren't with us last week. You were a little under the weather. How you feeling?
I feel a lot better. I can breathe and don't have the crud as bad in my lungs.
And our traveling companion, Dan Margetta, who's from St. Francis, but I have a feeling he's not in St. Francis.
No, not this week. I'm in Wisconsin Dells this week, and got at the Hotel Casino. Got to pay for that Daytona 500 trip coming up this week.
Wait a minute. Usually you leave there, saying I shouldn't have gone to a casino right before I was going on vacation. Yeah, that's not how the playbook works with Dan Margetta. He goes and stocks up on cash when he leaves casinos. Just makes no sense whatsoever. Well, we talked briefly about last week. It was the first time since 1971 that the Cup Series had a race, albeit not a points race, at Bowman Gray. We didn't really know what to expect since it's mostly a one-groove racetrack. But I'll tell you something, Chase Elliott, you expected him to possibly win since he was starting on the pole. There were other good cars behind him, way behind him, starting at the rear of the field was that number 12 car, and Ryan Blaney ended up second, making this, believe it or not, a pretty damn good show on a track where you wouldn't think it would be that good, even though Elliott led 174 out of 200 laps. Guys, I think that show made the whole thing worthwhile, didn't you?
Yeah, that was way more passing than I thought there was going to be. I mean, I thought it was going to be a physical pound fest. Guys would have to knock themselves out of the way, that type of deal. But we didn't have any of that. It was it was like short track racing. It was real racing like you should normally see. So I was very impressed with it. It kind of blew me away as to what it was like. I mean, it's slower pace. A lot of people don't like that, but the fans were engaged, and we didn't have the ridiculous madhouse guys fighting all kinds of crap. I mean, I'm not into that stuff. Some are, but I'm not. So that's why I thought it was pretty successful.
Was PJ, what your sentiment?
I was just thrilled to see Ryan Blaney actually making a show out of it.
To say the least, that was absolutely the case. Dan, you didn't have money on that, did you?
No, I did not. But I was happy with the way the event went and the way everything was run. I wish you would come back there and give it another shot. I'm not sure if they will. I think it fits. It was a pretty good short track race, and the area it's in is a racing town, and the crowd is into it. You got all that stuff. It doesn't have the pizzazz of LA, but it had everything else that race fans like.
Yeah, how about that? At a historic venue like that, it was in the 40s. People were dressed warmly for this one. Brian, you brought up a pretty good point. Perhaps if they had it earlier in the day, it might have made a difference.
Yeah, I mean that's the only question I have. I mean, I remember the camera panning to some kid in the stands who looked like he was falling asleep. I mean, by the time that race ended, that was 10:30 at night local time on a Sunday night when people have to go to school and work the next day. And I know you want the dark because they had the fancy lights, during the starting lineups and all that stuff. But it was dark for about 4 hours by the time that ended, 5 hours sometimes. So I know it's about TV, and I know the people on the West Coast where it used to be want to see it in prime time. So I get all that, but I mean, I haven't really seen a lot of feedback from NASCAR. Like the first year of the Clash, I mean, they had Steve Phelps was even in the media center afterwards talking about the event and all that stuff. I didn't see any of that with Bowman Gray, and that's what worries me, that NASCAR just put it there thinking, all right, it's something we're going to get by with for the year. We'll save a little bit of expenses because everybody can sleep in their own bed. But I mean, I hope they embraced it and liked it as much as what most of the purists did. I just don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, it only seats like 17,000 people, but they were enthusiastic. It made a really wonderful racing atmosphere. The drivers seemed to love it. The fans were totally into it, and all of that was good. But now, if you'll remember, when NASCAR brought the Clash to the Los Angeles Coliseum, they said in advance it was going to be a 3-year deal, much like the Chicago road course race. We know we're going to do this for 3 years, and then we will reevaluate everything. By the best of my memory, I don't think they ever said Bowman Gray was going to be a 3-year deal, was it?
And that's because it's a racetrack that's always going to be there. So I guess it doesn't, they spent the money to upgrade it and do some safety aspects to it and make it better. But, if they come back, they come back. If they don't, well, now Bowman Gray's got some nice new fancy amenities that they're going to be able to use for their weekly event. Coliseum in Chicago, you had to build that for that event. So you kind of had to know if you're going to get the resources for it, you got to do this for some limited amount of time.
The other thing is, too, I think NASCAR just doesn't really want to reveal too much of its plans because they don't even know what's going to be happening.
Yeah, there's been some very odd talk this week. They come off a successful – stop me if this sounds familiar with Road America. They come off a very successful event and with everybody saying wonderful things about it. And the first thing they're talking about is there's all these rumors that it could move around. Now, I don't know that moving the Clash around is a bad idea, but you have to remember some things because, it is February and you have to kind of stay into a warm weather location. So what are the names of the places that they're kicking around this week? First one is Brazil. Well, there's an idea. Let's ship all our.
I thought that was a wax job.
Yeah, this is completely different than that. Where the hell did the Packers play? Brazil or Argentina?
Yeah, they were in Brazil. Yep.
All right. So, okay, yeah, I suppose there's going to be race fans down there. Is it really worth sending everything down there for that? I guess that's one of the things they're talking about. The other one was somewhere in Europe.
Dubai.
Europe has the same weather that we have, basically.
Well, Dubai, it's always hot there. So.
The U.S. Dubai?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that one. That's the Dubai Clash. Yeah.
I mean, one of the other things you're going to have to look into with it being Super Bowl week and all the radio shows from Radio Row, there's a lot of talk that the NFL by 2027 is going to have their Super Bowl on President's Day, which is now Daytona 500 week. So NASCAR, while they're thinking about what they want to do with the Clash, are also going to have to figure out how are they going to line everything up. Right now we do the Clash, we have the Super Bowl for the week, then we do the 500. If they move the Super Bowl forward a week, that would be next weekend now, because they're going to play an 18-game schedule. Where are you going to put your 500? Are you going to push everybody back on the NASCAR side of it, and then we're going to be having the championship race right before Thanksgiving like we used to do, and then you're going to be that many more weeks into the season? And then where's that Clash going to land then? When are you going to play NFL? Are you going to have your week in between the Super Bowl then? I would assume they are, but you never know with them. So there's a lot of moving parts here over the next 2 years. After that announcement came, just the other day in 2027 Super Bowl. So that's only 2 years from now.
By the way, they keep talking about there should be a holiday after the Super Bowl, like Hangover Day or something.
Called President's Day. That's why they want to do that.
President's Day, yeah. I always liked it because it was a built-in travel day coming home from Daytona 500. I hope they don't mess that up. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Recently, we lost Bob Uecker, but Bob's legacy lives on. Bob Uecker's impact on Milwaukee and Wisconsin exceeds anything that happened on a baseball diamond or in a broadcast booth. One such thing is the Bob Uecker Endowed Chair in Pancreatic Cancer Research at the Medical College of Wisconsin. This chair was established by Bob and is supported by many others in our community with the goal of fighting the devastating disease of pancreatic cancer. To all involved, thank you. This message of gratitude is presented by the Medical College of Wisconsin and WISN Radio.
Welcome back to LTN. This is indeed a treat for us because we get to talk to Josh Balicki, who's been Wisconsin's only Cup driver, if I'm remembering right. It's been a while since we've had very many drivers that come from the good old cheese land. Josh joins us right now. First of all, Josh, from all of us here, congratulations on becoming a new dad. You and your wife, Caitlin, had Cole Michael a couple of weeks ago. How's the fatherhood business coming along?
Thank you very much, first of all, for having me, and thank you for that, too. It's been incredible. First-time parents, so obviously there's a lot of unknowns. His due date was actually today, so he came a week and a half early, which works out great for my schedule with Daytona being next week. I was a little bit worried at first with, is he going to come in time? If he does come in time, how's my wife going to handle me leaving 2 days after he's born? Thank the Lord. He came just a few weeks early, so I was able to spend basically 2 weeks with him. And he's good. Mama's healthy. It's just obviously a small adjustment with our sleep schedule and my work schedule, which is obviously managing, my career. But we're navigating it, and it's been a lot of fun. It's only been 2 weeks, but I already feel like he's grown quite a bit. So I'm excited to see his growth over the next couple of years, and I'm excited to eventually one day get him into a go-kart.
Dad, what a great name. You are an accomplished road course racer. We've known that. You are an SCCA guy, correct?
Yeah, so my background is karting. Grew up racing at Badger Kart Club in Dousman, Wisconsin. And then after karts, moved into racing in the SCCA in really multiple different classes, but mainly out of go-karts. I ran a class called Spec Miata, which is just a Mazda Miata base with some small performance enhancements, but it's a spec class, so it's very, very competitive. And we ran at Road America in the SCCA runoffs. There were 75 cars, So it doesn't matter if you're racing up front. It doesn't matter if you're racing in the middle of the pack or in the back of the pack. You're racing somebody at all times, and it was a great learning experience. And it actually took me a little bit to comprehend how to drive those cars, because when I was racing go-karts, at the end of my karting career, I was racing shifter karts, which are power-to-weight ratio closest thing to a Formula One car. And you go from that, which has 50 horsepower in a cart that weighs 350 pounds, to a full-size car that has 120 horsepower and it weighs 2,400 pounds. It was an adjustment because the car just had no power, but it really taught you to keep your momentum up. And I still use that skill set to this day racing in NASCAR. So, long story short, raced SCCA for a while out of my parents' garage pretty much in a Spec Miata class, and was able to pick up some sponsorship and go IMSA Racing, which is the pro sports car series, and then some Trans Am stuff before I moved into NASCAR.
So, and you've been in NASCAR now 10 years, and it's a dog-eat-dog world, and you really have to be able to get sponsorships to survive. What is the secret sauce for you, Josh Bilicki, to be able to continue to survive 10 years through all the politics and the sponsorship needs?
It's tough. I mean, it's a grind. There are times where, honestly, I've contemplated, do I even want to do this? And the toughest part about our industry is, it's obvious you need backing. Whether it comes from the team, whether it's your family, whether it's sponsorship. I was very fortunate. My dad took care of me through the amateur racing, and he made me work. While I was racing in SCCA, he made me work and buy my tires, but we couldn't fund anything out of really amateur racing. And so he always taught me really early, don't be afraid to work hard, ask questions, ask sponsors if you want to support us. So just from a real early age, I was a go-getter, always going out after new sponsors and partners and, connecting the dots with people that I already know. And that really has carried through my whole professional racing career. And, one reason I think I'm still active in the sport today is because I'm not afraid to work hard. There's times, even this last week, with a new baby, obviously it's kind of throwing a wrench into my work schedule, but up until midnight, grinding, and actually my team and I, DGM Racing, just put together a new sponsorship deal for Atlanta, which is in 2 weeks. So, I'm managing that, and I'm taking care of the press release, and just really you can't be afraid to work hard. And I think some people just get kind of, their passion kind of goes away when they see what it takes to stay in this industry so long. It's so much work, and it can be demoralizing at times. Even, I'll use a guy like Ryan Truex as an example. He drove for Joe Gibbs, and he won, I think, 5 of his 10 races over the last 2 or 3 years in the Xfinity Series, and he doesn't have a full-time ride this year. So that kind of shows you even winning doesn't always cure your problems. Money cures your problems in our industry, unfortunately. So I just really buckle down and try to manage my sponsors and bring in new sponsors so I can stay in the industry.
Yeah, how do you go about approaching a new sponsor? I'm thinking like this year, you have Rita's on the car, who's a company from Pennsylvania, and how does a guy from Wisconsin convince them to first, take a chance on being on a NASCAR team, and then to stick around and go for more next year?
Yeah, so Rita's Italian Ice is a company that, for us here in Wisconsin, we're not very familiar with, but it's exactly what it sounds. It's Italian ice and custard, very popular down south and on the East Coast too, which is obviously perfect for the NASCAR market. We raced Pocono last year, and leading into the race, we didn't have a sponsor, so I really like Pocono, and I was kind of scheduled to drive for DGM Racing at that race regardless if we had a sponsor, but I knew that if we had a sponsor, it would put us in a better position going into the race weekend. So I put a lot of focus on finding a sponsorship for that race. And one technique I have found, which is kind of a little secret of mine, which it won't be too much of a secret anymore, is, if we're racing in Pocono, I'll look at a lot of the other local tracks around that area, that might not host NASCAR races. They might only host, weekly shows, but I look at some of their marketing partners. And then, I spend the time to look at these marketing partners and figure out, all right, is this a local company that their budget's only going to be $5,000, or is this brand, are they nationwide? And Rita's had come across my website numerous times when I was looking at local tracks in Pennsylvania. Obviously, they're based not far from Pocono, but they're a nationwide brand. They have over 500 locations. So it just kind of seemed like a perfect fit. And when I reached out to I reached out directly to the CEO on Tuesday before Pocono. Within 5 minutes, she came back to me and said, if this is a real sponsorship opportunity, we'll do it. So let me tell you, it always doesn't work that easy. I mean, I probably had 150 pitches out for Pocono, and you might only get a response back on 130 of them, if that. So, I'd say for every single, 100 no's, you might get one maybe. Then if you're lucky, that maybe will turn into a yes, and that was the scenario with Frida's.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Wisconsin's Josh Balicki. Josh, if you can hang on through a break, we'd appreciate it. We got some more questions for you, and we'll be back with Josh right after these.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
You're done. Scored! The Milwaukee Admirals are back on the road as they travel to Rockford to take on the Ice Hogs, looking for some space to operate. He back to the corner, through to the front, and they scored! Pre-game coverage Tuesday starts at 6:30, face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app. Elford scored!
We are talking with Josh Balicki, who is getting ready to make the trip to Daytona for his annual trek. Brian?
Yeah, Josh, last year you got to drive the Gibbs car for a couple of events. And after that was done, you talked about possibly doing that again this year. How's that looking for – I know you got a partial schedule with DGM this year. Any chance we'll see you back in a Gibbs car in 2025?
Yeah, that really was an incredible opportunity, and I'm super thankful for that opportunity from Gibbs and all our sponsors. The conversation is happening. It's died down a little bit. As I mentioned before the break, racing requires sponsorship dollars, and there are some drivers that drive for teams that manage the sponsorship dollars, but I would say 75% of drivers in NASCAR in all three series mostly are required to bring their own sponsorship dollars, and it's unfortunate, but I feel like we ran well. I don't feel like we got the finishes we deserved, and at the end of the day, like I said, it just takes sponsorship dollars. So I don't know if Gibbs will be an option for me this year. Well, it's certainly an option. I don't know if I'll be selecting that option. We have a couple of other options on the table that are very competitive options in the top three series, and I'm not opposed to even a truck series opportunity if it means that we can try to win a race. I think at my point in my career, it's my 10th season now, I really want to win a race, whether it's a road course, whether it's an oval, and we're just kind of looking at all options with my sponsorship dollars and seeing really what's the best bang for our buck without losing that quality. And, hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have something to announce.
Speaking of winning races, one of the coolest things I saw last summer was I went out to Plymouth one night, and you were running the 360 sprint car there for his name's escaping me right now. Yes, yeah,
Randy Sipple.
Yep. And you were lined up in a heat race with champion Ben Schmidt and a couple other heavy hitters out there, and went out and won that heat race. Now, that was cool. Now the sprint car thing, I mean, talk about diversity. Road racing, NASCAR stuff. Sprint car racing doesn't seem to quite fit in there, but you've become a pretty accomplished little racer in the sprint car in the last couple of seasons. What are you looking like going forward for this year and that?
Well, I appreciate that. The sprint car has definitely been, honestly, my favorite form of racing in many, many years, just because it's so different. And part of the reason I started racing a sprint car is because it's so different. It's a car that's not very comfortable to drive. And I don't mean like seating position. I mean to drive the car fast. You're out of your comfort zone. And that's something I feel like maybe in the past I've struggled with a little bit on the NASCAR side because I don't have an oval background. I felt myself struggling sometimes with the sensation you get when the car is really loose on corner entry. And what's a sprint car? Sprint car is always loose on corner entry. So, the first time I drove a sprint car was in 2023, so it's not like I have a lot of experience. But I was able to put together some decent runs last year. Winning a heat race, was definitely pretty cool. We want to win a main race. Just the cards didn't fall right last year, but that was in the 360. We actually had plans to run the 410 at the end of last year. Actually, fair night last year, I was running second. I was running down the leader in the main, and I made a small mistake. I just overdrove entry. I spun out, and I got hit, and we damaged the car. And I split the cost to fix the car with their team owner, but that took away all the extra budget I had to go 410 racing for the end of the year. So my goal for this year is to run the 410 as much as I can in between my off time. My NASCAR schedule this year is pretty busy compared to last year. Last year I had about 25 races. This year it's looking like I'll probably have over 35 between all three series. So,
Wow.
If I have an off weekend and there's a race that lines up, it's preferably a 410 race. I'll try to make it work. Just unfortunately, I don't think I'll be in the sprint car as much, and that's tough because you're racing against guys that are in those cars every single weekend, and sometimes twice in a weekend. So to go once a month is definitely tough, but I will continue to do it because I love it.
And that'd be with Sipple. Sipple's going to put the 410 together for you?
That will be with Sipple, but there's also some options to run for a couple different teams, and especially kind of expanding my schedule. If I can find a race that's near our NASCAR race, even if it's a bigger series, I'm not expecting to go out with the World of Outlaws and even make the A-main at this point. Hopefully one day I can, but there's races all around the country that line up with our NASCAR schedule. So, the bulk of them here in Wisconsin will be with Sipple in the 410, but I'm not opposed to adding any others on my schedule too.
And your bulk of your NASCAR races this year are going to be in the Xfinity Series with DGM Racing, correct? And how are you guys set up for Daytona coming up here?
That is correct. Yep, I'll be the anchor driver for the 91 car this year. Probably I'm going to guess 25 of the 33 races. So that's most of the races. We're going to Daytona with a lease motor, which you pretty much have to now. We showed up to Daytona in 2022 without a lease motor. We qualified decent, raced really well, finished inside the top 10. Showed up the next year with the same exact package. Mario's own motor, a good car, and we missed the race. So since then, we've always basically made the decision, all right, we need to raise the extra budget for Daytona to have a lease motor. So we're going there with the Hendrick lease motor. We feel really good. We're not expecting to qualify, fight for the pole in qualifying, but Mario always gives me a car that races really, really good. And at Daytona, I think I would rather have a car that sucks up and handles really good in the draft rather than a car that's really fast by itself but is not great in the pack. So I'm excited for Daytona. And then we go to Atlanta, too, which is kind of a smaller version of Daytona. And then we go to COTA, which is a road course. So I'm excited for the first three.
Well, you've done a lot. You've raced the sprint cars, cup cars, Xfinity cars, road course racer, a lot on. But I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to your next ice race because we know you can win on the ice.
We I think it was 2019 won the World Championship Snowmobile Derby up in Eagle River in Outlaw 600 sled. So I would love to do that again. I've never had the chance to go back. It just doesn't align with my schedule. But basically, those cars, the Outlaw 600s, if you don't know what they are, they're like a micro, like a dirt micro with a snowmobile engine and an offset track in the back and then 2 skis up front. So you drive it actually somewhat similar to a dirt car, and it was a lot of fun. I would love to go back and do it.
So those guys at the hockey game on the tricycles, they didn't realize.
That's what I was talking about.
That's what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. We Johnny Sauter and I had a good run at the hockey game, and we won the race. So that was pretty cool too. That was my first race of the year. We won it. So hopefully that means this will be a good year.
There you go. Thanks for taking a little time with us, Josh, and good luck Daytona, Atlanta, and the rest of the year. You're going to be a busy guy. It'll be fun to follow you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me. Have a great day.
Josh Fulick.
We'll be right back.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards.
Super Bowl 59 is coming.
First down! Don't doubt him. All he does is win.
A rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
Don't miss a moment of the action live from New Orleans.
For the touchdown. Jalen Hurts.
On your home for Super Bowl 59. 97.3 The Game.
Right here on 97.3 The Game. The Super Bowl this afternoon. Big fun. Don't forget the LTN podcast can be found on iHeart, iTunes, all major platforms. And don't forget Racing Nuggets, PJ's outstanding video podcast. Who you got coming up?
Right now you can watch Brad Both from Cedar Lake Speedway. Dan Plan and I sat down with him. That man is hilarious, and he's got a really great program going on. Lots of big shows coming up this year at Cedar Lake, so you can check that out, both on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcast, wherever you listen to LTN.
There you go. We're like almost a team here. Jim is on the phone with us from Delafield, Wisconsin. Jim, welcome to the program.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. Question for you, Todd. Could you give us an update on Matt Kenseth? Is he still going to be working with the Jimmy Johnson crowd? And if so, what are his duties there?
Boy, that's really a good question, because I had when we had him on here last year with Robbie Reiser, and I accused him of not following NASCAR, and he said, "Well, then you're not watching because I'm a driver coach with Jimmy Johnson." So I forgot about that, but he didn't offer very many specifics. I think that's a pretty good question, and I think that would be a good reason for me to text him this week and find out exactly what he does.
And one other thing I want to throw out there, because you guys always have your ears down to the ground. Is there any talk of President Trump coming to the Daytona 500? Because obviously he's going to the Super Bowl, That would be a great.
Yes, he is going to be there. You're right.
And there's a report out there that says he's supposed to be there. I haven't seen anything official yet, but there are some reports that it was in the works.
Yeah. Jim Traylor
great.
get to
I'll be there.
introduce him for the second time. That's pretty cool.
I don't think they're going to put a lot of specifics out there just because.
Yeah, of the weirdos.
Yeah.
It's bad enough that they told him they're going to be in the stadium today. I'm
Okay,
sorry. Go
great.
ahead, Jim.
Yeah, have a good one.
Okay, thanks for the call. We do appreciate it. If anyone else wants to call the program, why, Jim remembered it, but in case you don't know the number, it's 414-421-7901. This is Speed Week in Daytona. Tomorrow, if anybody's headed down there by tomorrow, or to say this afternoon or tomorrow, there is a party. It used to be called the Wisconsin Party. That went away long ago, but it's now called the Midwest Party. It's at a place called the Hard Deck Tiki Bar.
The what?
It's a tiki bar, and it's at 2900 Bellevue Avenue, and it's at 6:30 tomorrow night. Tuesday is a good night to go to New Smyrna. The ASA Stars will be racing there. It will be televised on Track TV and Flow. Gets underway, we figure, approximately 6:30 Milwaukee time, maybe a little before. Kind of watch it and see when they tell you. Wednesday, busy day, at 7 o'clock on FS1. It's qualifying for the Daytona 500. On Thursday, we have the qualifier races, which actually have more storylines than they have had in the last couple of years, because there are, Dan, 6 or 7 open cars trying to make the race.
Yeah, there's a lot this year, and it's only come down to there's 2 open spots, right? I mean, so it's actually going to mean something in the qualifiers on Thursday.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Friday will be the truck race. That will be carried on FS1 at 6:30. Coverage begins at 6:30. On Saturday, they've got 2 different events at Daytona. The ARCA race, which we've lovingly called the Human Sacrifice 200 over the years, is at 11 o'clock. That will be on Fox, on the big network. And then later in the afternoon, the Xfinity race will be at 4 o'clock on the CW network, Channel 18 in Milwaukee. If I'm remembering, about 16 in Madison, something like that. And then, of course, a week from today, the 500 coverage starts at 1:30 on Fox. We'll talk more about it as the time gets.
And if you've seen the forecast for the Florida area, it is absolutely spectacular this year. Far cry from what we had to deal with last year. I mean, low to mid 80s every day, no chance of rain. So this looks like it's going to be a spectacular week, as it was this past week down there.
Yeah, right. Toby's already rubbing it in at 75 down in New Smyrna.
Everybody who lives in this house, with the exception of me, is there right now. So we'll be coming home today. And the cars do get on the track on Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning, our time, for a 50-minute practice session. I would imagine that will be covered somewhere. You just have to check your local listings. But Coffee with NASCAR Wednesday morning, their first practice.
Wait a minute.
Talk about FS1.
Talk about a long day for those guys. I mean, they're going to practice. This is Florida time now, 10 a.m. to 10:55, and then they don't race until 8 or qualify till 8:15 till 10 p.m. Remember, Dan, last time we were talking with Jesse, he was talking about how a long day it was, and they just made it longer for him.
Yeah, beautiful. By the way, Dan, you are going to Daytona, correct? On Wednesday?
I leave Wednesday, and I'll be there in town Wednesday afternoon and get what I can get to and have a lot of fun. Looking forward to the 500. And Brian, don't talk too much about that weather. I don't want you to jinx it, because I went through a little bit last year.
Yeah, I know. Right.
It seems
you look really good right now.
To me, Dan, that you should have perhaps gone 24 hours earlier so you could have caught New Smyrna.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do that. I wanted to, but it's just work schedules and everything else. You know, everything else you got to plan around to get down there didn't work out this year.
Work gets in the way of everything.
And speaking of work, PJ, your husband's going to have a busy week down there, isn't he?
He is. He's down there. He's not staying for the whole week, though. He's just really focusing on that Tuesday night ASA Stars race with Ty Majeski.
And he's on his way now?
He's already there, yeah.
Oh, my. We're getting situated at the track. What, do we have to fight for a pit spot or something? Why are we there so early?
No, Toby's just like a dog with a bone and waiting for the UPS driver to show up, you know? I mean, he's just ready to hump a leg or something.
They do practice tomorrow, to his defense. All the ASA practice is tomorrow, and then all they do is qualify and race on Tuesday. So
they
do
left
have to be there.
on Friday.
Oh, wow. Oh, you saw the forecast. I would get the heck out of here too.
Well, that was his theory. Get out before the snow hit.
There you go. They are racing around this country, or it's heating up, and we've got some results for you when we come back.
EMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. EMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as fieldstone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit EMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Recently, we lost Bob Euchre, but Bob's legacy lives on. Bob Euchre's impact on Milwaukee and Wisconsin exceeds anything that happened on a baseball diamond or in a broadcast booth. One such thing is the Bob Euchre Endowed Chair in Pancreatic Cancer Research at the Medical College of Wisconsin. This chair was established by Bob and is supported by many others in our community with the goal of fighting the devastating disease of pancreatic cancer. To all involved, thank you. This message of gratitude is presented by the Medical College of Wisconsin and WISN Radio.
Now the LTN Hour presents Turn on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
A wide open week of Speed Weeks racing this week across the state of Florida. We'll start Tuesday in Ocala, Florida. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series always was at East Bay this past week, but with East Bay closing down, they moved it up to Ocala. A lot of people didn't know what kind of event we'd have. It turned out to be a really good 5 days of racing there. $7,000 to win Tuesday night. Devin Moran grabbed the opener. Wednesday night up at Lake City, Florida, the All-Tech Raceway for the Short Track Super Series Big Block Modified. Stuart Friesen of Truck Series fame picked up the win there. Back to Ocala, night number 2 for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. Another $7,000 on the line. Jonathan Davenport took home the win there. Barberville, Florida. Volusia Speedway Park for the World of Outlaw NOS Engineering Sprint Car Series. They opened up Wednesday night. It was not a points night for them. They always had a practice night. Instead of a practice night, they just had a race for just cash. So you can take home a gator. And Carson Macedo did just that, grabbing the win. Kyle Larson also ran. He finished third. Thursday night, Lake City, Florida, another night of the Short Track Super Series Big Block Modified. Stuart Friesen made it 2 for 2, grabbing that win. Thursday night at Ocala for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, and $10,000 on the line. Jonathan Davenport made it 2 in a row, picking up the win there. Thursday night at Barberville, Florida, Volusia Speedway Park, the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars points-paying night for them. Christopher Bell grabbed the win over Kyle Larson by less than a car length. That was a spectacular feature finish if you saw that one.
It really
on Thursday night there. Friday night, down in Clewiston, Florida, the Hendry County Speedway, the king of the 360s for the 360 sprint cars, had their opening night. Tyler Clem, that is Bubba the Love Sponge's son, grabbed the win in that one. He's the guy who owns Ocala Speedway, ironically enough. Lake City, Florida.
Park or something, didn't it?
Yeah. It used to be called Bubba Raceway Park A. Made it back to Ocala now. Lake City, Florida, Friday night at the All-Tech Raceway for the Short Track Super Series Big Block Modified. Somebody other than Stuart Friesen finally grabbed a win. That would be Matt Shepard. Ocala, Florida, another night of Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series competition. Ricky Thornton Jr., not to be outdone by Jonathan Davenport, picked up the $12,000 prize on Friday night. Back to Volusia for Friday night, another night of World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Kyle Larson made it Kyle Larson picked up the win over Christopher Bell that night, getting back at him. Bill Baylog also had really good runs those 2 nights, finishing in the top 10. And I believe Friday night he finished 6th, but there were only 2 World of Outlaw regulars in front of him. So a really good points night for Bill Baylog in his second season on the Outlaw Tour. Finally, Saturday night up in Sylvania, Georgia at Screven Motorsports Park, Winter Freeze, $10,000 win for the Super Late Models. Cody Overton was your winner. Clewiston, Florida, Hendry County Speedway, the king of the 360s, $10,000 to win. Mark Smith grabbed the win. Scotty Thiel partook in that event and finished 11th. Final night of the Short Track Super Series in All Tech Raceway, Lake City, Florida. Stuart Friesen made it 3 out of 4, grabbing the win there. The big blocks move on to Volusia starting Wednesday night. The final night of the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series at Ocala, Florida, $25,000 to win, and Devin Moran passed Jonathan Davenport with about 11 laps to go in a pretty thrilling race there at the end of that one. Overall, I'd say Ocala did a really good job taking the place of East Bay this week. Good crowds for the most part and pretty good racing there. And finally, the big event in Barberville, Florida, Volusia Speedway Park for the World of Outlaw Novice Engineering Sprint Car Series, $20,000 to win. Kyle Larson picked up the win and the Gator Championship of the sprint cars for the week. Also, the undercard last night was for the UMP Modifieds. They had 106 Modifieds there this week, competing in multiple features. They ran like 6 features a night. That's why I didn't name them all, because they had different ways of lining them up. But it all came down to the Big Gator Championship last night for $5,000 a win, and Kurt Spalding grabbed the win in that one last night. And that is everything this week. Probably the busiest week of short track racing was this week. Next week, for the most part, Volusia is really the only dirt track running. Volusia and Ocala. Ocala has the USAC sprint cars, and then Volusia has the late models and the big block modifieds this week to wrap up Speed Weeks 2025.
And this is also pretty big for the Asphalt Series as well. World Series of Asphalt at New Smyrna Speedway kicked off on Friday night. Had a double DQ to get things started. In the super late models, William Sawalich crossed the line first, but he was DQ'd for his car being a 1/4 inch too wide. Just FYI, that was actually discovered in pre-tech, but apparently they didn't fix it, so they were DQ'd. That handed the win then to Carson Brown.
That's Harvick's car too, isn't it?
It is, and it's also sponsored by the Rackley War Team, which is also... So it was a very hard DQ for the ASA sanctioning body to make, but at the end of the day, they did the right thing. They told them, you're too wide. And they didn't fix it. So at any rate, that hands the win over to second place, which was Carson Brown from Anthony Campy Racing. Cole Butcher was now then second for Donnie Wilson Racing. Derek Griffith was third, George Phillips fourth in another Donnie Wilson Racing, and Connor Jones fifth. Midwest notables, Paul Schaefer Jr. was 11th, Ty Fredrickson 17th, Bobby Kendall 19th, and Derek Kraus 24th. Pro Late Models also ran Friday night to kick it off, and Connor Jones crossed the line first, but he was DQ'd for an unapproved carburetor. It was used in other series, but not approved for ASA for their super lights. Super or pro lates. According to Matt Weaver, it was safety wired with epoxy to prevent pucks from falling in and hanging the motor wide open. So it was a safety thing. However, it was an unapproved carburetor. So that handed the win over to Hunter Wright. Notable for you, Brian, your gal Jade, I can't even pronounce it. Avedisian. Thank you. She finished 12th. She's with Donnie Wilson Racing for some limited pro late races this year. Randy Sargent was 14th. And then last night, the World Series of Asphalt, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour winner was Patrick Emmerling, driving for Bobby Dotter. Craig Lutz, Justin Bonsignor, and Luke Baldwin, Tommy's kid, as well as Austin Beers, rounded out the top 5. Other notables, Ryan Newman was P8, and Ron Silk finished 9th. In the pro late, Spencer Davis was your winner. Connor Jones, with a now legal carburetor, finished 2nd. And Jade Avedisian was 3rd. And then Randy Sargent, notable, 18th. Cars Tour West was at Havasu 95 Speedway Limited Pro Late Model winner, Dylan Zampa. Florence Motor Speedway's Icebreaker 125 for the late model stock cars was last night. The winner was Max Cox. Caden Quapple was 3rd. World Series of Asphalt at New Smyrna Speedway will continue this week through Saturday. Racing every night from various divisions. They can be streamed on Flow Racing. Tonight, the Super Lates will have a 35-lap feature, the 602 Modifieds. Pro late models run in 35 laps, and the Florida modifieds will be the main event with 50 laps. Super lates will have Monday off, but there will be that big 200-lap ASA Stars Tour race on Tuesday night. Lots of Midwestern flavor entered into that one, including the latest for the Platinum Series program. Derek Kraus and Johnny Sauter have entered, so that's pretty cool. Pro Lates are going to have their biggest race of the series Wednesday night with a 100-lap feature. Super Lates will have another 100-lapper on Thursday night. And then the Tour Modifieds will have their 100-lap feature on Friday.
Do you know, I was thinking about this. Johnny Sauter ran in the old ASA series. He won a bunch of races with that. He'll be the only driver that has raced with both ASA series now that he's going to be a regular driving Richie Waters' car, who was originally from Green Bay also. So it's a Wisconsin team. But that's pretty cool. And Derek Kraus going to be a regular in that series, which we're not surprised at all. I mean, it seems like that'd be a good place for him. He's needs to get a couple of wins. That'd be a good place to do it. We're going to be back. Hang in there.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Super Bowl 59 is coming.
Don't doubt him. All he does is win.
A rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't miss a moment of the action live from New Orleans. On your home for Super Bowl 59. 97.3 The Game.
Oh, we got a couple things to tie up here. A cup practice that Brian talked about on Wednesday that starts way too early. Yes, it will be televised on FS1 starting at 9 o'clock in the morning Central Time. For those of you who want to, I suppose you record it and watch it when you get home from work or something. Who would watch practice? We're talking about practice. It's kind of a big deal, though. And
you haven't been on track in how many months? That's why you watch practice. It's cars on track.
Yes.
They don't get much practice anymore in NASCAR, if you think about it.
It is amazing. Hey, Brian, I wanted to mention also, they are now accepting applications for the Alan Kowicki Driver Development Program for this year. It looks as though, from what I have seen, that it's changed quite a bit from what it started at. You might want to check that. But either way, your application, they're now accepting applications. Wisconsin racers who believe that they have a shot at that thing should get their applications in, because we are usually very well represented in Cheeseland here. So make sure you do that. Hey, Brian, give us a Billy Balog update, would you?
Yeah, if you were watching the race last night, you saw he had a spectacular performance in his heat race, coming from third to win the heat race. Started third in the feature, and on I think it was the second lap, got up in the cushion in turn 4 and had a nasty-looking roll. Wicked. Flipped pretty good, and for the longest time, the people doing it didn't show what was happening. And finally, after I think it seemed like forever, 5 minutes, they said he was conscious and alert, and was transported to the hospital in the ambulance. Fortunately, the update we have this morning here, this is about an hour ago, Bill is on his way home. No broken bones, thank goodness, just some soft tissue damage. Luckily, they have a few weeks off before the next race, which is back at Volusia the first week of March. So thanks to everyone for the positive message. It came from his racing page. So scary stuff. Sprint cars, when you're going that fast on a half mile, it's nasty-looking stuff. So fortunately, Bill's going to be all right, but he's going to need some time to heal up.
Testament to the safety equipment for sure.
Yes, yeah. And you saw the replay of it. It just up on the cushion, and the car just snapped sideways and just started tumbling. You never know with those cars. It's crazy. But he was having a heck of a week before that, and hopefully he comes back in the same form he was before, because he looked like he could be pretty sporty this year and maybe click off a couple outlaw wins.
Wouldn't that be cool? A couple of things to wrap up here. Xfinity announced that they are no longer going to sponsor the Xfinity Series, so NASCAR is going to have to find a new sponsor for their second-tier series. They will stick around and be one of the series sponsors for the Cup Series. They're one of 4, and they have announced they're going to stay there. Also, they are going to sponsor the Xfinity Fastest Lap. I don't know how you sponsor that because there's no cash involved. It's 1 point that will be given to the driver who turns the fastest lap in any race, and it's across all 3 top-tier series in NASCAR. So that's kind of different.
So down to the Martinsville race, and it's going to be who's going to go to the final deal. Can I put tires on and just rip off and get a point?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It seems like that would be something that was now part of the strategy of a race. So interesting.
And they've been doing that in Formula One for years. You've seen that, a guy having a bad day in Formula One, and all of a sudden he'll go in late, put on some tires, and rip off the fastest lap and finish like 12th, but he gets that point.
They don't have to have money with that, Todd, to make a sponsorship valuable. It's just for name mentions, and that's good enough for them.
And that's what they're part of what they're getting for the money they spend with NASCAR overall. Yeah, that makes sense.
Have like halfway winner always got money back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah. This is a money lap, Dale. Okay.
Remember, Dale Jarrett threw a Brickyard 400 away chasing that money, and I think he was trying to get that lap and ended up screwing up his whole race.
Well, we have to be smart and think of the big picture. Sunoco is done after this year with their NASCAR sponsorship. What it involves is they bring all the fuel to NASCAR and provide it free of charge to the teams, plus pay NASCAR to do it. They've been doing that for 20 years. They are only the second oil company to have done that deal after Union 76 did it up until 20 years ago. But they are now going to talk with other petroleum companies about taking over the official fuel of NASCAR. And Whiskey Wars. How great is this? We've got Traveler Whiskey with Allgaier. We've got Green River Whiskey with J.J. Yaley. Those two will be competing at Daytona against each other. And then in several other races, Rebel Bourbon is going to be a sponsor on Kyle Busch's car. So, we'll have to watch big fun whiskey.
And Sugarland's Distillery is also getting involved as a sponsor of NASCAR overall.
Oh, isn't that just perfect? We're going to take that money. You betcha. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. There's little words of wisdom we like everybody to remember. Real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losey. For all of us involved with this program, we appreciate you tuning in. Ed Kluka loved Patrick Mahomes, and for that reason, I'm taking the Chiefs today. See ya!
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.